5 toughest games are arguably the Eagles on Monday Night Football, at Green Bay, at Seattle, at Detroit, and at Buffalo. Look at the games before their toughest games. They'll either be a game before or after where they will be a significant favorite. I mean, the first month alone, they get 3 home games in the first month. That's a nice start, right? Get some momentum, get some belief. First 3 home games in the first month, they only face one star quarterback. And of the star quarterbacks, he may be the least intimidating, Jalen Hurts. Then you go to weeks 9, 10, and 11, the middle of the schedule. Well, they get a warm weather team and a dome team at home. Bucks and Saints in Chicago as it's getting cold. Oh, yeah, their toughest game is the game in Seattle against the Seahawks, but they even get a break there. They get extra rest Thursday to Monday. So, I mean, their toughest games are, to me, Lions, Packers. You know, you start looking at the very end of the season, they get the Packers and the Lions in week 16, 17. They're both at home. So it starts soft, home games, the middle, home games against warm weather and dome teams in a bye, and then it ends Packers and Lions at home. The NFL wants Chicago. They want a Chicago Bears team that is in the news. That's what it feels like to me, is they understand the power of Ben Johnson, the power of the brand, third biggest TV market in America. It's no gauntlet. They want Chicago to be captivating the entire way.
I'm glad Colin talked about the Chicago Bears media market because I brought that up, and people got mad at me because I talked about how massive the Chicago Bears fan base is in the media market, that if they're a competitive team, like, it'll just absolutely explode. And it is interesting to hear Colin talk about this again because he had this take years ago when Caleb was first drafted, that the NFL wants Caleb to be great, that they're easing him into the schedule, that they're giving him who he gets to play. Malik Willis and the Tennessee Titans week 1, I think it was, and he went in this whole thing, and then he had Peter Schrager come into on, and they talked about how, like, the NFL really wants the massive Chicago market and all of that, and that's the schedule. And now he's coming here with the essentially near identical angle. But it's really interesting because there was the belief that this schedule was really difficult. I think they either said it was the hardest schedule or one of the hardest schedules, I forget exactly, but just one of the hardest schedules, we'll say. And that's not how this schedule lands for me at all. At all. But before I jump into it any further, please, Chicago Bears fans, do not forget to subscribe and watch the full length of the video. When you guys do that, views go through the roof, subscribers go through the roof, and it's not about chasing views, it's not about chasing subscribers, it's about being able to create Chicago Bears content that people genuinely want to watch and discuss. So we can have real, honest, grounded, unbiased conversations about the Chicago Bears. When you guys watch the video and subscribe at the same time, it creates just such an avalanche effect, and it just helps tremendously. And honestly, what we're doing here is, like, we are without a doubt having some of the best conversations on all of YouTube. On all of social media. The views per comment ratio is absolutely, positively through the roof relative to any of the other channels out there. So we are literally having, like, some of the deepest, best conversations out there, and I'm just trying my best to make sure that we can just really firmly be rooted in the sports talk world, so please do consider subscribing. But, yeah, I mean, I hear a lot about what Colin is saying, and it's like I've gone through some of the other schedules. I'm really just doing this like pretty much every video. If you've been watching any of my other videos right now, it's like every video so far up to this point, and this might change in some of my deeper videos, but like I'm looking at the schedule for the first time right now. This is the first time that I'm looking at the Chicago Bears schedule. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, even any of like the tougher matchups or tougher games, I'm like, it's a football game, right? And I'm just like, well, like I keep saying, like, if you're a great team, then it's just like, okay, sure. You got to face the Eagles. You got to face the Seahawks. You got to face the Bills, right? Like, it's like, okay, yeah, sure. Makes total sense. But then you do get to face the Dolphins. You do get to face the Jets, you know. And it's like I think what I think is actually probably more interesting about a schedule like the Chicago Bears is less about cause Colin's saying like, oh, the toughest games, right? The Packers and the Lions. And this is obviously division. And Bears fans very much well just based on what they've experienced last year like, you can't take any of these divisional games for granted no matter how amazing you or lack thereof you think Jordan Love is or how bad you think Kyler Murray is like just like these divisional games, NFC North, it's just anyone's game, man. It's absolutely anyone's game. So, trying to predict an NFC North game is an absolute fool's errand. So, I'm not going to come here and be like, well, they're going to beat the Packers, you know, twice this year. It's like that's silly to me to say to make any of those types of statements because it's just like who knows? Who honestly knows? And so, to me, I look at it more of like weirdly enough, I actually more lock into the games for this schedule. I lock more into the Panthers, the Bucks, and the Saints, and even maybe the Jags, where I'm just like how good or great are you going to be? ITH. Inc. The Panthers are actually trending in a great direction, but it's like week 1, how great are they? Right? Like I think they've made a lot of really interesting and cool moves, and it's like, okay, week 1, like are you ready to get after it? Same thing even with a team like the Eagles, week 3, new coordinator, by week 3, are they comfortable? Is Mac Lemon worked into the offense? Jalen Hurts getting more comfortable with the offense, etc., etc. It's just like, where are they at there? The Bucks absolutely had a down year last year, but they definitely have like a pretty interesting roster. I don't think I think Baker is definitely like an inflated quarterback in terms of people's outlook on him, but like he's certainly not trash. He's certainly not a quarterback in a team that you're just like, oh, well, we'll easily beat them. So, it's just like, how competitive are the Bucks this coming year? I really honestly don't have a strong feeling in either direction. I am absolutely a believer in what the Saints are doing and the momentum that they have, but again, how great? I honestly don't know. I'm very optimistic and really do believe and love what they're doing, and I'm a believer in Kellen Moore and Tyler Shock, but like I again, what does that look like right now? I don't know. I honestly don't. But by week 11, if they are a legitimate team, and they're truly are trending in the right direction like I believe they are, well, then by week 11, like, okay, that'll be a more competitive game than originally meets the eye. Right? So, like that's all that I'm getting at. And again, I know when you're like a Bears fan or no matter what team of a fan you are, when you're looking at some of these games like against the Bucks, the Saints, and Panthers, you're like, oh, we're clearly better than those teams. Oh, you know, blah 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 blah. And it's like, I don't disagree with that, right? At the core of it, I believe that the Bears are better than the Saints, right? It's not that controversial whatsoever. I believe the Bears are better than the Bucks. But when you're just talking about a long season and a full schedule, I just think to myself, those games weirdly enough to me end up being more of a wild card than they've ever been in years past because we always know, right? There's plenty of games throughout the season that you win that you should have lost or that you lost games that you should have won, right? We've endless examples of that. Every single team, every single year. You're like, how the heck did you just lose to this team right now? Right? We know that. But I think those teams that we used to just automatically circle are going to be, again, how do you evaluate the Saints right now? I know your gut tells you, oh, they're nothing. They got nothing. And it's just like, I don't know how true that is right now. Maybe that'll prove to be true by week 11, but I don't know how true that is right now. I really don't. I really don't. The Carolina Panthers genuinely were able to build a lot of momentum last year, and if they're able to build off of that momentum this year, Dave Canales' continuity with Bryce Young and whatnot, they upgraded that defense. It's like, I know, my automatic thought is not to be like, well, the Panthers aren't a great team. They're going to be a top 3 team in the NFL. Like, that's not where my mind automatically goes. But is this the most competitive Panthers team that they've had in, essentially since Cam Newton? It's like, my answer is yes. What does that look like week 1 against Chicago Bears? My answer is I honestly don't know, and I'm okay with not knowing. So, I actually think it's that those games, cause again, our minds will automatically lock on to the Eagles, the Packers, the Seahawks, the Lions. And it's like, yeah, for sure, those games are obviously the games, but I think what will ultimately make or break the Chicago Bears in terms of how great they can be, where they land in terms of seeding and playoff, wild card or winning the division, etc. It's going to be these other games. It's going to be these other games, and it's going to be interesting to see how good these other teams actually are. Because, way. RDLY enough, yeah, I feel like really only like one of those teams, one of those random teams, I'll say, that I really am kind of like, yeah, there's essentially 0 chance you're going to lose. That's the Jets. Probably the Dolphins, but I don't know. Keeping the door open for the Dolphins, maybe, because I do love their, athlete. I'm intrigued by Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator. And I do like, Malik Willis a lot. I don't know if they have the roster to actually support those guys, but I'm like, I don't know. Leaving that door open, but not holding my breath by any stretch of the imagination. So, yeah. I don't think the Bears have this tough schedule that everybody was trying to make it out to be, but they do have a pretty interesting schedule. They definitely have a really, really interesting schedule because they have a lot of these in-between teams where you're kind of like, well, I don't know. This is actually kind of interesting. Again, who are the Panthers right now? Who are the Saints right now? Don't let your past understanding of who those teams are lead you too much right now. Right? Don't because they could do the same thing about the Bears. And it's like, things have changed drastically for the Bears. Right? And things are starting to slowly drastically change for some of these other teams. So, it's a pretty fascinating schedule. And I do agree also with Colin Cowherd where he kind of talks about where it's like, okay, you play a tough game, but it's followed by or before that it's an easy game, right? Sandwiched between, the Jets, the Packers, the Falcons, or something, or extra rest, a Monday Night Football against the Seahawks after, Thursday Night Football against the Patriots. We'll see how good the Patriots are. A lot of people think that the Patriots are nowhere close to being as good as they were last year. So, we'll see about that, right? Also, who knows what else is coming out from the news cycle with the Patriots. But, also ultimately, the divisional games, obviously, the Vikings, the Lions, and the Packers. I see no reason why those games won't also continue to be kind of just a free fall, honestly. I see no reason why. Again, I know each individual team. This has been the case since 2024, since I started really making videos. Every single one, every Vikings video, every Packers, and Lions, and Bears, everyone is very confident that they're winning the division, that they're beating the team, that they're going to go 4-2 in the division, 5-1. And it's just it ends up being kind of crazy. It ends up being very crazy. And I don't see why that's going to change, honestly. I don't see why that'll change, which I think is awesome. I think the NFC North being a gauntlet is, really, really great. Technically, the biggest wild card is the Minnesota Vikings because of Kyler Murray, J.J. McCarthy, maybe even Carson Wentz. So, you're just kind of like, I don't know. But, you get to play them week 2, and it's like, do they have any of this figured out yet? Do they have any of it figured out yet? Probably not. And then by the time you're playing them in week 18, it's like, that game might not even matter anymore. So, even if they do figure it out, and they got it ready to go, it's like, okay, well, it's final game of the season, who cares? Might not matter at all for the Bears. So, yeah. But, technically, that stretch, 15, 16, 17, and 18, Bills, Packers, Lions, Vikings, that could be for real. That could be a for real stretch where you're just like, man, the Bears really got to go 2-4 in these next, win 2 out of the next 4 games if they want to be able to get the 2 seed or, whatever the situation may be. And it's like, yeah, okay, at Bills, then you're at home for 2 important division games, then you're at Minnesota. But how good is Minnesota, right? Like, who's the quarterback? What's the situation? Is it a race to the bottom for them where they're like, we want to lose because we're ready to draft a new quarterback, right? Like, we're all right, we did Kyler Murray, we did J.J. McCarthy, we did Carson Wentz. Okay, we want to be able to draft our new quarterback of the future. By all means, Chicago Bears, beat us. Like, that is a legitimate scenario as well. So, it's like I think the schedules at the end of the day, the more you talk about them and the more you look at them, like you can always figure out another scenario that can pop up, right? Another scenario that you didn't even originally think of. And it's like, okay. So, yeah. But in no way do I think of this as a tough schedule where I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I think it's going to be tough for the Bears to find their way, it's like everyone was like, I think they could be better, but they could lose more, but they could win less games. Like, that was a common take, which I don't even necessarily disagree with that mentality or that idea that you could lose, that you can win less games but still be a better team, etc. I think that's, always on the table for any of these teams because wins and losses are always going to fluctuate, but I don't see this as somehow being like an uphill battle. I don't see the schedule itself as being like, okay, yeah, man, like this is a stark contrast between last year and this year. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chicago Bears, the schedule, the fact that Colin is saying that the NFL wants the Chicago Bears to win and to be great so they can get all those Chicago Bears fans in the massive city of Chicago? Second City. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.